Hi, I'm Madison Bliss, and I teach Tier 2 Behavior and Academics at Marion High School. And I did my project on increasing reading motivation and comprehension ability through the use of choice, technology, or paper copy. I had three students starting off thinking I was going to do the project with the three students that I had. And then I ended up having two the first week because one happened to be gone for a reason. And then the second week I did it, I ended up only having one student because I had a student transfer districts, and then that other student wasn't back yet. So my data is kind of short, but it helps me with the student that was able to have the choice with technology and the paper copy. And when I was looking at my key terms with my journals, I looked at motivation, reading comprehension, collaboration, and I'm thinking collaboration between students and teachers, and then collaboration with other teachers that could benefit from the technology usage, like I do, and then also confidence with their reading. My problem statements were increasing my students' motivation to want to read through the use of technology, and then increasing reading comprehension scores, getting a better understanding of what they're reading. My student that ended up still being with me through both weeks has a comprehension goal, so I really wanted to improve his scores and want him to want to read more as well. For approach number one, allowing students choice, the paper copy versus the technology, giving students choice in their learning, teachers can create a more engaging and meaningful learning experience for all students. Giving choice allows them to have that buy-in. Like, do they want to read from the computer or do they want to read on the paper? What do they want? And then technology can be used as a meaningful way to promote learning. Technology gives students the ability to select what they want to read on their own and also have that option to have it read to them. And then that was what in one of my articles that I read with Lasley in Lasley's study. Approach number two was about cooperative learning or peer collaboration. Technology can be used to connect students with each other, to provide access to resources, and to create opportunities for collaboration in many ways. They could both read from the computer and then talk about what they read separately, or have them do a log on the computer, and then they could each add comments about what they read, so they don't even have to physically collaborate. They could be in their own cubicles using technology. Students can develop social emotional skills, learn how to work effectively with others to build relationships and resolve conflict. And then overall, cooperative learning and peer collaboration through technology are two effective educational approaches that can be used to enhance students' learning. And then my third implementation approach was building independence. Technology can provide students with access to a wide range of reading materials, including books, articles, magazines, websites. And that gives the students the opportunity to choose reading materials that are interesting to them. And then it also matches their reading levels. Certain sites you can go to, if they're at a fourth grade reading level, then they can choose that level. If they are at seventh, then they can choose seventh. There are a number of technology tools that can support students in decoding and comprehension, such as text to speech tools. Comprehension tools can also help students to understand the meaning of the text that they are reading. So if they don't want to read that day, maybe they just want to listen to the book, they're still getting that information, but they can use the technology, and then maybe they'll want to read the next day. All of them I felt would be good to use with my students, but I decided to choose the allowing the choice because I felt like that was the best for the two students I had at the time. And then my main student that I ended up with, he was the one that actually chose the 50-50, reading half the time on the technology and half of the time with the paper. So that was good for him. And during week one, like I said, I had two students, and I had one of my one student's parents didn't allow him to use technology. He could physically look from my computer, but they really didn't want him to have the computer by himself, which was fine. So I gave him the choice that he could read from my computer, but he just like couldn't physically have it. Or did he just want to continue to read paper copy? And so he chose the straight paper. We just read the book, and then we also read the workbook when he had that paper option. And then my other student decided to read the book with us the first half and then use his computer the second half of the time. And then on that Friday, we played book Pictionary about either stories we've read from the workbook or previous books that we've read together. And they read their book and then they played Pictionary. And I had a student that drew a picture that ended up being from our book, Timmy, that we read. And then the one student drew that. And then I had my second student automatically knew what it was. So that was fun. And they did well with that activity. And then when I asked the comprehension questions about the story we were reading together, as well as what they read separately in their workbooks, they both were able to answer the comprehension questions correctly, and they understood what we were reading, which is awesome for my student. My student that did it for both weeks has that comprehension goal, and just knowing the questions that I asked him, as well as what was his favorite part about what we were reading or what we read, and he was able to tell me both of those answers and gets into the story. He really likes it when we alternate reading. And then when I asked him about, did you like reading, like when we read together, or like when you decide to read separately through your computer, is one favored over the other? And he says he learns both ways. He likes to mix it up. If he's in certain moods, he might choose the technology approach more versus wanting to read with us. But when he does read the paper copy, we do alternate reading. So I think that he likes that as we read a couple chapters and we just alternate pages. So that's good for him. And on the second week, after he did we read Loser, and he did his ebooks on the computer. He drew an illustration of the book Loser, and he drew the character wearing his giraffe hat from the first week of that Zinkoff had at school, showing that he remembered what he wore. And then when I asked him to describe the picture, then he was able to say, he wore the hat in the first week of school, the bully took his hat, he doesn't quite understand that they were being mean, they just thought he liked his hat, and just did really well with that. So my findings, that students prefer to have the option to choose between paper copy versus technology when asked to read for an assignment in class. Like I said, the student that chose the 50-50 enjoys that based on his mood, based on his not being bored when he switches it up, having that option to be read to. He just likes the option. Giving students the option increases their willingness to participate in reading. Research done by Simpia found that task engagement increases when students are provided opportunities to make that choice. My second result, choosing technology to read or be read to instead of reading paper form, did not necessarily cause the reading comprehension to improve, only because I had one student to look after for this, and he was able to answer my questions after we read and after he read. So for this particular student, I wouldn't necessarily say that technology improved his comprehension, because both paper copy and technology improved his comprehension scores. So I would need more students to be able to tell if the technology did help with the comprehension. At this time, I would say that the paper and technology are both good for my particular student, and just giving the choice increases the motivation, increases his understanding. So that was good for him. One thing I learned from was that technology empowers readers to actively engage with text, improving their reading comprehension, which I wouldn't necessarily say that it improved it, but it does help, and he does understand, and he likes that power to choose. Can I read the computer? Can the computer read to me? Do I have to read the paper copy? I also found through technology is a great tool to use that my student really enjoyed the popcorn reading or taking turns with a paper book just as much as reading from the computer. And then that personal interaction is still important when it comes to reading, like live discussions, worksheets, and questions from the computer about what they read. I think that he appreciates that I'm reading with him and that he does have that one-on-one attention when he does need that reading help. So that's good for him. And then I can also help him with the words that he doesn't understand or that he has never seen before. So that was good for him. And so that was my study. Thank you.